it's continual. And so the first, let's say, 30 years of my life, I struggled massively. I struggled with confidence, self-esteem. I struggled with knowing what I wanted to do, my direction. I struggled with anxiety and all kinds of different things. I think it was when I was 30, back in 2016, I had a breakup, which completely took me by, actually, it didn't take me by surprise, but it knocked me down to the very bottom. And it was from there I kind of decided that I'm not going to be that person again. I'm going to improve who I am, build my confidence, build my self-esteem. And the initial reason I did that was so that I could win her back. That was the initial reason of building my confidence, self-esteem. But within that, I kind of realised without building myself back up, you know what? Do I really want her back? And the answer was no. And so over the last 7 years, I have completely changed, and I've started to trust myself and have the confidence to know what I need to do in order to take the steps where I am now. And I suppose it comes down to intuition. If I give you a perfect example, when I was in the relationship, we had this discussion about buying a house together. Intuitively, the answer was no, I shouldn't. Not yet, anyway. I was lucky because we broke up anyways quite soon after. But it was more that I didn't trust my intuition at the time. And then there's another occasion which happened actually not long after the breakup, where I was looking for my own house, walked into this house, and as soon as I walked in, I knew this house was right for me. And through a long story short, it fell through twice. Everybody was saying to me, look for a new house, look for a new house. You get a better house than that. I knew this house was right for me. I kept my sight set on this house, even if it fell through twice, but I got the house 9 months later. And so the key theme for me is about having that confidence and trust within myself to know what steps I need to take. And sometimes you go up and you go down still, but it's all learning.
That's a very interesting perspective on change. And what was the contributing factor, may I ask, during your childhood and early adulthood, that you lacked confidence, you lacked self-belief, you lacked self-esteem? What contributed to that happening?
I think so. I've pretty much got, not anymore, I'm a bit more secure now, but I've always had this anxious attachment style. So the anxious attachment style is all about that neediness, the need for love. And I think it was intuitively, I've allowed myself to see what happened as a child. It was more that when I was born the first child. So suddenly I had all this attention and all this fuss. And then along came my brother and sister, who I don't blame. I don't blame my parents either. But that's what, as a child, you don't understand that. I think it was because when my brother and sister came, all that attention which was on me suddenly went. So as a child, you don't understand what's going on. Suddenly you think you're worthless. You think you're not in a good place. You're always looking for approval. And so I feel as though that's had quite a big impact on the lack of confidence, the neediness, the always wanting, the lack of confidence, the lack of self-esteem, the lack of direction. A lot of that's down to that point. And also another occasion at school, I was told by a teacher, who told my parents as well, I would never amount to anything. Again, I don't blame her. It's how she might have been brought up. But it's more that has impact on yourself later on. So obviously the last 7 years has been about changing those patterns, changing the meaning. By the way, I've got a scent stick, and that's why it's a bit smoky. um, Changing the meaning that you saw on an occasion. So rather than seeing yourself as not worthy or not good enough, looking at the meaning of what you gave it and changing that meaning to, just because I said that, I'm still worthy. I'm still good enough. I'm still the person, I'm still amazing. I'm still fantastic. And I've had quite a few of them, but each time it's made me who I am today. And for me, I have this huge push, this huge desire to create a big impact on this planet, because of all the stuff that I have done and all the stuff that I'm doing now with trust, with self-esteem, with all these kind of things, I'm able now to help other people to see things from another perspective.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point you're making there about insecurity, because it's something I suffered from myself for many a year, to be quite honest. And I always had a kind of a low value of my own self-worth. And I tended to put people on a pedestal, like, or, I'd be down here and they'd be up here. So you always feel that your contribution is less valuable than anybody else in a group situation. And that can be very self-defeating.
Mm.
And you just talked there about self-esteem and self-acceptance. So self-esteem comes from having, a lot of achievements in life, and we're both developing that level of self-esteem within us. And then self-assurance also comes from, learning new skills, developing those new skills, and then, I suppose you could say, being able to use those skills to earn a living. I worked for 25 years as an accountant. I now see myself as a paid professional speaker and career coach. And over the past couple of years, I've really worked hard on becoming a very good virtual show host. I'm working on developing my keynote through a paid mastermind group I'm a member of with David Heiner, who we both know. And so I'm learning all these new skills. And someday I'm going to be able to earn a good standard living, a very good standard living from having developed those skill sets. That's most important, I think, to believe in your own message, believe in your own story, and to have a purpose in life. And did you find that even in your early career, that you were often saying to yourself, why am I here? Am I in the right job, for example?
Yeah, quite. So I've basically got a degree in chemistry. The reason I did chemistry is because I enjoyed it at school. When I came out of the university, I kind of looked at jobs in chemistry, but then thought to myself, why am I going to do that? Kind of because I'd be stuck inside, I wanted to be outdoors more. And so I do still, after that, I started to work on my dad's farm, and I still do at the moment. So I'm building my business alongside working on the farm and also as a firefighter. But deep down, I always knew that I didn't want to work on the farm. And again, I've had to accept where I am at this moment in time. It's taken me 13, 14 years to get to accept that at this moment in time, I'm working on the farm. But at the same time, it's more that I've had to, once I've accepted it, I'm at peace with it. Now I'm at a point where my business is starting to progress, where I could quite easily start to reduce the hours on the farm and start to build the business up. So slowly over time, I've built that passion and all that, and I'm starting to now swing more onto becoming what I feel I'm meant to be doing, my passion, my purpose, and having faith and belief that I can do it. And I fully believe it.
What you're saying there effectively, James, is that, your career as a farmer is not forever and a day, and it's keeping you in your home. It's paying your mortgage, for example, along with
Yeah.
your firefighter role. That's also giving you an income. But in the future, you want to be full-time in your paid professional speaking career and coaching people, helping them to find their purpose in life. Yeah, so but it's taking you time, no more than myself, to build that sustainable business. And I think that, having success every day, I should say, is really important because it builds your confidence and it builds self-esteem. And I think any paid professional speaking business or any career coaching business, really, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to work at it. And you have to be able to accept feedback from people in your peer group or a coach or a mentor to say, what you're doing is not good enough. You have to really improve this to attract clients, to get in front of that right audience. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time.
Mm.
You have to have that staying power, really. That's what you're looking at here. Yeah. But in the meantime, you have to be able to fund yourself and, live every day. You have to buy food, put petrol or diesel in your car, pay your mortgage, whatever the case may be. As yeah, there is. But where do you see yourself going in the future now, James?
So this year, I have taken a big risk actually. So I went to a weekend down London to see this lady talk, and
Very
she was
good.
saying about changing. Her name's Susie Ashworth, but she's saying about changing your identity of who you need to become in order to basically to create James version 2. So I have committed to doing a 100-person talk in September. So obviously now, because I have just jumped down basically I put myself out of my comfort zone
Very good.
to do something which just basically will push my speaking business, but it also means that I also need to push the marketing. I need to push who I am becoming with my confidence, my presence. I've got to push my vulnerability. I've got to push everything in order to grow. Because if I stay how I am now in 5 months' time with this event, then the event probably won't succeed. But if I change who I need to be, so I need to become James version 2, then and I start to grow this and already be it now, then James version 2 will succeed at that event. And yeah, so for me, I've had to really, really push it out. I've had to up my marketing, learn how to market, because as I was saying before we came on live, I've never really been a marketeer. So I've got to change the mindset about I am a marketeer. I'm amazing at marketing. Marketing's easy, change all them beliefs. And over time, I think I'll fill that 100-person event, but it's more for me to become who I need to become in September in this very moment. It's not necessarily, I think sometimes people not necessarily get it wrong, but they get it the wrong way around. So people figure out, say to themselves, what do I need to do? I think it's more, who do I need to be in order to achieve it? And it's when you work out who do you need to be that you can switch into that person and all the rest will work itself out.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there, James, is that you've got to be able to visualize where you're going to be at the end of September, having done that 100 people in the room speaking event. So you've got to be able to see yourself as being a successful person who's delivered a very good keynote to a minimum group of 100 people. So you have to be able to visualize that and actually start preparing yourself to face up to the challenge, get out of your comfort zone and embrace that challenge to really deliver that awesome keynote to that 100 people who want to give you, excellent feedback and give you good feedback on the content of your keynote, that you can then take that keynote forward and develop it further. So you're visualizing there, you're seeing yourself as being a successful person. You're not head down looking into the tasks you need to complete the presentation. You want to see yourself as being successful and then taking it a step further into the future. I think that's a
Yeah.
very good approach to life, that you're not just head down, focusing on the task in hand. You're seeing yourself as being successful, and you want to move forward from there and then go another step forward in your career. So that's a very good point. Just going back to childhood, did you grow up in a house where it was very, say, task oriented? Did you find that, again, looking back at my own childhood, um, we were always encouraged to read books, to learn, but I think that education, sometimes teachers have an awful lot to answer for. I think a lot of teachers over the years have put negative thoughts in many thousands of, pupils' minds. That can be so self-defeating. Was that your experience in school also?
First things first. I think my perspective is that it's not necessarily the teacher's fault. Sometimes that's probably how they've been brought up and how the school probably used to be. And yeah, I think it's a hard one because I think some people thrive at school, some people don't. I was never diagnosed with dyslexia until I went to university because I didn't obviously know much about it when I was at school, and so I was always seen as, I suppose, quite stupid, quite thick, and I was about to go and do extra speaking sessions with teachers and stuff. And I was only thinking the other day that that's had an impact on how I was, but at the same time, it's pretty much, I suppose it's them experiences which have probably made me who I am today. So it's allowed me as a person to go deeper into all them and to figure out how can I change who I was to who I need to be, and how can I put that in a situation or a place where I can help others to do the same. Because I think for me, I found primary school, I was quite disruptive in primary school. And then when I went to secondary school, it suddenly changed because going from 100 people to 1,000, it was terrifying. And that's when I struggled with confidence, I struggled with self-esteem, and I was very shy. And I think from an early age, I was taught to hide, pull myself back, not be seen, because when you hide, not be seen, you can't put yourself out there to be hurt. And so I've really struggled with that. So I've started to push myself out so that I'm starting to be seen more. I don't know, you noticed on Facebook, I've started doing daily videos and put it on social media. So it was about me pushing myself to be seen so that I can then start to overcome all them underlying issues that I may have, and also to realize that a lot of what I thought about putting yourself out there isn't true. So I had this fear of people judging me. I've had this fear of, what if I get stuck and don't know what to say? But what I realised in doing daily videos is that none of that happens. I've had one person who gave me some chip or some bad judgment. But you know what? Some people are going to like me, some people aren't, and that's fine. What I've kind of realised is that most people there support you. And so it's allowed me to push myself, and it's also allowed me to allow myself to trust that when I start press that record button, I'm going to know what to say. I don't pre-plan it. I just allow it to flow. And I've got some good material from that, actually. And it's allowed me to trust myself even more and have the confidence in myself.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there, James, is that when you were in school and the fact that you were dyslexic went undiagnosed right throughout school life, both in primary school, secondary school, and into your third level education in university. It was only after that that you got diagnosis of dyslexia. So all throughout your school life, you probably felt that even though you had the brains, it was probably comprehending the information that was in a book in front of you was probably the more difficult part for you. Yeah, and you felt shunned by your classmates because they felt that, James here, he's not quite quick enough on the take up, so we'll ignore him. And therefore, your social skills, your self-esteem, your self-worth all suffered for that because
Yeah.
you were cast aside by your classmates and left to fend for yourself and do your own thing. You weren't part of the bigger group, I suppose you could say. As a result of that, your confidence suffered. And now you want to help people who were going through a similar scenario in school or in the workplace, suffering from dyslexia, undiagnosed, for example, to help them to get that diagnosis, to build their confidence up and become a better version of themselves. I think that's a
Yeah.
very, very noble idea, to be quite honest. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
So this has been an awesome interview today, James. I think it takes a lot of bravery and courage to come on a social media channel to say you had these issues in life because, you were dyslexic. It went undiagnosed for so many years, but now you're striving every day to become that better person of yourself. So, version of yourself, I should say. So, my takeaways from today's conversation are firstly, um, I think at school, it's important that teachers in today's schools give children confidence rather than knocking confidence out of them. And you were a great example of that, where a teacher said, James will never be much in life. And unfortunately, in your case, you took that message on board and you somewhat believed it, but now you're challenging back. So the second point I'd make here is challenge back assumptions you make of yourself or other people make of you because they're not necessarily true. And once you face up to those assumptions and challenge them, then you become a better person. And the third point I'd make here today is change is ongoing. Every day there's something new to do in life. We have to face up to that change and be proactive about it. Don't let change, don't fear change. See change as a positive and embrace the constructive challenge. And that's what you're doing with your professional speaking business. And also, good luck with your forthcoming keynote in London at the end of September. And I hope you really engage and get great feedback from that group of 100 people in the room. Is there anything else you'd like to say before I let you go?
I was just thinking, as you're saying at the second point about the meaning that you give it. If you think in life, everything that happens to you, we personally give it a meaning. So if we give it a meaning, we can also change the meaning. So things in life are pretty neutral. Breakups, loss of jobs, loss of houses, it's all neutral. It's us that give the circumstance the meaning. So as I was saying a minute ago, if you allow yourself to change that meaning, suddenly you can change the whole concept of how you feel. So if I've gone through quite a few breakups, but each breakup, it's taught me to embrace and change the meaning. So rather than seeing it as a bad thing, you can see it as a good thing and see what good has come from that relationship. And so, yeah, that's the last point I wanted to make.
Yeah, that's a very good point you're making there, James, because I know from my own experience, I set a business up a few years ago. It didn't work out for me because I thought, there's going to be great demand, but nobody saw any value in my offering and it wasn't aligned to my purpose. The work that I'm doing now is fully aligned to my purpose. I enjoy it. I know it has its challenges every day. I'm surmounting those challenges and becoming a better version of myself every day. That's the key point that you're making here today, is to make sure the work you're doing is aligned to your values. It gives you a purpose, and therefore you can take that forward and develop it into and monetize it into a successful business. So that's a very good point. And also, if change is forced upon you, like whether you lose a job, for example, you're made redundant, a relationship breaks up, you lose your home for whatever reason, don't see it in a negative way. There's always something better around the corner. You have to find that future. That's the whole point you're making here today. So it's been a pleasure having you on the show, James.
Thank you,
And thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.